Okay, I'm back, and next thing I want to do is make this the master and a master-slave buddy box type setup. And so to do that, I got to go into trainer mode. So from the main menu, you scroll all the way down close to the bottom to system setup. Yes, I'm sure I want to do system setup. And I go all the way down to toward the bottom where it says trainer mode. And why use wired? I don't know. I don't think I'll ever use wired. But so this is a wireless trainer, meaning the buddy box connects to the receiver that's inside the DX9, and the DX9 talks to the airplane. So the wireless trainer I want to set up, and there's two types: Programmable Master and Pilot Link Master. I have in the past used Programmable Master for most of them. But in this case, I'm going to try Pilot Link Master. Pilot Link Master means that the buddy box doesn't have to have any programming on it. And not sure how all that works, but we're going to test it out and see if it works better for this or not. If it doesn't, I'll switch back to Programmable Master, and we'll find out. Okay, so I'm going to use Pilot Link Master. This bind button, where you see it says bind right there, I'll use later when I want to bind the buddy box to this. But with the Pilot Link Master, the 4 channels are going to go over, because the student needs to control all 4 channels, more than likely. But all the other channels are going to stay with the master. So the switches are down, which is exactly what I want. Now I don't want switch I, because that's the panic mode, and we don't want that. So I normally use switch H. I like it because it's a 2-position switch right over here, and it's easy to get to, so I'm going to use this switch H right here. So I'm going to click on switch I, let its box start flashing, flip switch H, and let it find it. Okay. And I don't like master override active, which means if I bump any of the sticks, then the master immediately takes over. I don't like that because a lot of times I'll be moving the throttle around or moving my sticks around following what the student's doing. So I don't like master override. So that's the switch settings for the wireless trainer. Now I could go back in, and under wireless trainer here there's trainer alerts, and I want it to alert me with a voice when the instructor has control, and that's way down here. You probably see it went by every once in a while. So it's, oops, there it is. Instructor has control, and then we have student has control. There it is, student has control. And no student signal is very important, because if you ever lost connection with the student, this thing is going to tell you. You could, that, no student signal. So no student signal means, hey, maybe the student's battery died or something, or he accidentally turned off his radio. So if that happens, you have a no student signal. So I'm going to go back to the top main menu, and now I'm going to flip switch H.
Student has control. No student signal. Instructor has control. Student has control. No student signal. Instructor has control.
Okay. So that's the voice warning. And let me just go back into system setup here and go down to warnings here. And so oops, let me go back to channel assignment. So what I normally do is assign aux3 to that switch.
Student has control. Instructor has control.
So aux3, this is why a 9-channel radio is a little more flexible than a 6-channel radio. So I'm going to use switch H to help me with a warning. So aux 3 is switch H, which is the trainer switch. And that allows me to set a warning here. So aux 3 needs to be under 0%. Okay. So what that does is, now I'll do some testing because I think this is the last thing we're going to do. So I'm going to, let me wind this back out a little so you can see what the radio is doing here. Okay. So I'm going to turn the radio off. I'm going to sort of test these things one at a time. Okay. The first thing I'm going to test is the flight mode. So I'm going to flip the flight mode to not up. Okay. Mid is fine. And turn the radio on.
Warning, stability mode. Normal mode.
So I flipped it to normal mode, and that allowed the radio to come on. Okay, so that one worked. And the next thing I think is important is I'm going to flip the this to student has control and turn the radio on.
Student has control. Warning, servo under 0%. Instructor has control.
Okay, so that warns me that the instructor has control. When I turn the radio on, I want to make sure that I have control of the airplane first. And other than that, I think everything is fine. Let me go into warnings here. Okay, we'll go down to warnings. Oh, the flight mode works, the trainer works, and the I didn't do throttle cut testing, so let me back out on this. So I'll turn the radio off. And throttle cut is here, so I'm going to turn the throttle to normal mode. That, remember, middle and this side is position 1 and 2 is throttle cut. So position 0 here is normal mode. And I'll turn the radio on, make sure I get a warning.
Warning, servo over 10%. Throttle cut. Throttle cut.
Okay, so all my warnings are working. Everything's working. Okay, that's it, I think. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back, and that is an awful lot of settings for DX9, but I think the DX9 is worth it. All that extra time to get all the features and functions that you want to use. Even with a small airplane like this, sometimes you, especially when you're an instructor, you want the warnings that tell you the things that are going on. So I like it. And so the other thing I've decided to do is to not use the DX4E as the buddy box. I'd rather use a little better radio. I own a DX6, and obviously I own a DX9, and so I'm going to use the DX6 as the buddy box, and I want to use the DX6 simply because I want to be able to try out the trainer mode instead of programmable master pilot link, and want to see how that works. I've actually never tried it before. This is probably a good airplane to try it on, so we'll see. So the first thing, if I'm going to have this DX6 bind to the DX9, is to set up a model on the DX6. So it's just like setting up any other model. In this case, I'm going to go double click and click on Add New Model. And you want to create a new model? Yes. Okay. And so the main screen, this is model number 5, obviously aircraft model. And the programming would be pretty simple, other than changing its name. So let me change its name. So I'm going to go to System Setup and change the model name to, I like it to be 05. So 05, and I'm just going to call this Buddy Cub S. So it's a buddy box for the Sport Cub S. Buddy Cub S. Okay. And the according to the instructions anyway, all I need, and the default of all the channels is correct. I really don't need to do any other programming. So what I'm going to do is now turn that off. Okay. And I'm going to put this in the trainer menu. So I'm going to go into System Setup. In System Setup, I'm going to find Trainer, and then I'm using wireless trainer, so I'm going to click on wireless trainer, and the first thing you roll one click down and you see bind. So that's going to put this into bind mode for the receiver that's inside the DX9. I'm going to go to bind mode, hit that once, and turn this on with this button down, put this in bind mode, turn it on, and let the two connect. So here we go. I'll be holding this off camera.
Binding. Binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Bind complete. Bind complete.
So I got two bind completes all over the place here. So these are now bound together, and so I'm going to turn them both off. Okay. Grab the airplane here, flip it over, and I'm going to go through the normal startup as an instructor would here. So I'm going to turn on the master radio, let it warm up. Okay, so it's warmed up and its lights are on. Then you plug in the airplane. Five seconds goes quick. Okay, so that's working. Everything's working. The trims look like they're where they're supposed to be. Okay, and I'm actually going to try the throttle a little here. Okay, throttle doesn't work because I got to put it in normal mode instead of throttle cut.
Throttle cut. Normal mode.
Okay.
Throttle cut.
I can hear that thing squeaking all over the place. That is the AS3X trying to keep it level, and or the self-righting kind of thing. I think it's probably AS3X technology in there, and that's good. So now the airplane is ready. Master's ready. I'm going to turn this on. Okay, and I usually wait 10 or 15 seconds for the two radios to talk to one another to get in trainer mode. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I'm going to flip this switch from instructor has control to student has control and see if it still says no student signal.
Student has control.
So student has control of the airplane. So I'm going to pick up the DX9 and make sure. So ailerons right, ailerons left, elevator up. You can't see that. Let me move it forward a little bit. Don't want the airplane to roll off the desk. So ailerons up, rudder to the right. So up, 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 right. That's how I remember it. Up, 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 right. Okay. And so the thing I'm keen to figure out here is what happens if I change the trim. So I'm going to change aileron trim. Just to see if aileron trim is actually working over here, I'm going to go full aileron trim to the right. And it is. Now I'm going to go full aileron trim to the right. And that aileron did go up some. And now I'm going to flip back to student has control, to instructor has control, and see what happens to that aileron.
Instructor has control.
That's what I expected.
Student has control.
Alright. So, if I flip back and forth,
Instructor has control. Student has control.
you can see the ailerons are moving because the student, dumb student, me, put in full right trim. Okay? So, basically without any programming setup in here, it sort of passed this mode. I didn't need to put in the sub trims into this in order for those to not move. That's kind of nice. So the sub trims stayed where they were. So the student does have control. And I'm going to hold on to the airplane and now one thing here is that throttle cut is on over here, and I'm going to see if throttle cut is working by moving the throttle on the DX9, the student box. Okay, so no throttle. That's good. Because if on other systems, I think in the other mode, this has to be in normal mode on the master.
Throttle cut, normal mode.
And now the throttle should work. So I'm going to turn it on.
Throttle cut.
So throttle cut is working on the master only. The only other thing I see that I might need to do is, which I will do in a second here, is stop that. The clock started on this one, and so I want to match the clock settings. So I'm going to go into this and change the timer to say it's a countdown timer, 7 minutes, over 40%. And one time active, and voice, okay, so that the clock the student has and the clock that the instructor has works the same. Now, why I like that is because usually what I do is I let the student do the pre-flight, and so during the pre-flight he'll probably activate the timer. I'll activate mine at the same time, but we'll see how that works. So No programming on the buddy box other than the timer, and that I think is really good. So I'm going to. So the student still has control. Just for grins, I'm going to turn the radio off.
No student signal.
No student signal. So
Instructor has control.
better take control. Okay, so that all works, and now I'm ready to go fly this thing with a student that I have, and we'll see how it works. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was a lot of time, but time well spent as far as I'm concerned. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next video.